Supercars to America are what tasty food is to England. One simply doesn't associate one with the other. And that's not without a good reason. When researching this topic, I counted only 12 real, proper, all-American-made supercars. That's not a lot. Hey guys, I'm Stype, and this is my list of the 7 best supercars made in America. Yeah.
Number 7.
What a better way to kick off the list than with the latest Corvette, which is finally, after 7 generations, mind you, a proper supercar. No questions about it. In the past, Vettes were all sorts of things. Classy boulevard cruisers, sports cars with some muscle DNA, or in their maddest versions, absolute titan slayers. But there was one thing these cars never were: exotics. Yes, the power and speed were there, but the plasticky interior put together with the precision of a stormtrooper was simply too hard to overlook. That's all changed now. The 8th generation is full of carbon fiber, Alcantara, and other stuff from the more expensive side of the periodic table. The cabin feels premium, and the driving dynamics are better than ever before, now that the Corvette is mid-engined. Finally. And what an engine that is. The souped-up Z06 comes with a Detroit V8 that's as modern and advanced as anything you'll see coming out of Italy. A high-rev and naturally aspirated engineering jewel that pumps out 670 horsepower. It's the most powerful NA V8 ever made. Plus, thanks to its flat plank crank, the new Corvette roars like an Italian exotic too. Actually, the whole vibe of the Z06 is very 458 Speciale, and for many, that's about the greatest Ferrari ever made. I only wish the new Corvette was designed a little better. This has no Corvette DNA at all. It's just some generic-looking supercar. But a supercar it is, so welcome to the club, Chevy.
Number 6.
If exclusivity is the name of the game, then how about the Falcon F7? A Falcon what? This Midwestern mid-engine supercar has passed under everyone's radar, except for its 7 buyers, and that's a real shame. I mean, I get it, the Falcon doesn't have a long and celebrated history as Ferrari does, and being a boutique kind of a supercar means that some parts are less bespoke and more off the shelf. The dished wheels, for example, have a strong aftermarket whiff about them. The interior screen is badly fitted, and the engine is from another car, but that's how Koenigsegg started too, and look where they are now. Besides, the F7 comes with a lot of good stuff too, like the race-bred monocoque chassis made from carbon and Kevlar. The engine is a true and tested LS7 from the previous Z06, but after a special touch from Langenfelter, it now makes 650 horsepower. There's also a twin-turbo option with 1,100 jacked-up horses. Boom! Best of all, you can control that power with a proper manual 6-speed tranny. 1,100 horses in 3 pedals? You better have some big cojones tucked in your underwear.
Show me you got some big cojones, and not some little bitty chiquita ones.
So if you wanted a Ferrari F40, but with more muscle and less price tag, then the Falcon is for you. And to be honest, does it not look absolutely amazing? I dare you to find a supercar that looks more menacing than this.
I double dare you, mother...
Number 5.
It's hard to imagine a car that can out-Lamborghini the Lamborghini themselves, but the 1990s Vector W8 definitely did so. Look at it. Design alone is enough to give the Diablo a run for his money. And if you thought, hey, this looks more like the space-age travel-inspired 70s than the 90s, well, you're right. That's where the first prototype dates from. But unpleasant economic circumstances postponed it for 2 decades. So after all this time, what was it like? It was both terrible and amazing at the same time. Let's do the good stuff first. Aside from the looks, the performance too was out of this world. The twin-turbo V8 made 625 horsepower, which was already more than the McLaren, the Bugatti, and all the road-going Le Mans cars. But the driver could then push a few buttons, beep, beep, boop, increase the boost to 14 PSI, and now you have 1,200 horsepower. 1,200! There's even more stuff to impress your friends with, like the aluminum honeycomb structures, carbon fiber, Kevlar, and other aerospace materials. Even the inside is more like a jet fighter than a car. Sadly, the W8 was terribly built. Car and Driver magazine took delivery of 3 cars to do some reviews and tests, but all 3 broke down. Andrea Gozzi got a W8 too, but that one burned his hair and itself down. It simply needed more time in the oven. But just because something's mostly broken, it doesn't mean that it can't be considered great.
That's right, bitches.
Number 4.
Talking about cars with lots of power will inevitably lead us to Hennessey, a tuner company that will boost your truck, muscle car, or even a Lotus to 1,000 horses or more. But good news, because recently they decided to build a car of their own too. This. The Venom F5 is the result, and it's 100% bespoke, built from the ground up rocket ship on wheels. And while everything about this car is noteworthy, it's the engine that's the real star of the show. In the middle of the F5 sits a 6.6-liter V8 with a pair of turbos the size of curled up dogs, and the internals usually found in dragsters. It makes over 1,800 horsepower, and it's easily the most extreme engine found in any kind of road car. And now, what you all wish to know: how fast is it? 0 to 60 takes 2.5 seconds, which is about as low as physics would allow, given that it doesn't even have slick tires and an all-wheel drive. But once those rear tires bite into the road, the F5 leaves everything else in the dust. On a run to 250 miles per hour, the Bugatti Chiron is so far behind it, it could be in another time zone. The Koenigsegg Regera can't match it either. And as for the all-electric Rimac Nevera, even that one will run out of breath trying to keep up with the Hennessey. So when will it stop accelerating? It hasn't been tested yet, but the simulations show that the F5's top speed is 340 miles per hour. That's useless, honestly.
Number 3.
You think that the retro-looking GT was brought back to kick Ferrari's ass once more, but no. It was just a gift from Ford to Ford for 102 years of Ford. Close enough. But what a gift it was. A shouty, whiny, supercharged, all-aluminum modular V8 with a crisp click-clacking from a manual shifter and a handling sorted out by the wizard at Lotus. The GT was a textbook supercar, dramatic, fast, loud, and in a spirit of American fast cars, guess how much Ford asked for it?
$1 million.
That's a lot less than Ferrari, so no wonder they couldn't build them fast enough. But what about the new one? Although it looks amazing and is all around better than the retro one, I still have a bone to pick with it. This new V6 GT was secretly developed to be a successful race car first and a road car second. This is still very noticeable in the way it drives. It's much more edgy, raw, cramped. It feels more like a race car than a supercar. And on a normal road that's not as smooth as glass, the new GT is so bouncy that you think you drive a car with Parkinson's disease. I think I'd have a better time in a more forgiving, more shouty, manual V8 model with some creature comforts too. Still, who can say no to this? Honestly, they both deserve a spot on the list.
Number 2.
Putting the Tuatara ahead of the Hennessey as a better supercar will surely make some of you angry, but I do have my reasons. For a long time now, the top speed figure of these record-breaking cars is just
Too damn high.
we're in the 300 mile per hour territory, and where exactly can buyers do that kind of speed? Before you say German unrestricted Autobahn, I have some bad news for you. The top speed is just a marketing tool, something that will get people talking, not doing. And for a largely unknown up-and-coming car company like the SSC, this kind of buzz is exactly what they need. So when the news of the Tuatara achieving 330 miles per hour broke out, people took notice, and soon half of the car's planned production was called for. It was later discovered that the Tuatara, in fact, didn't achieve this speed, but that hardly seemed to bother its buyers. This is still one amazingly capable car, as you'd expect it to be, with 1,750 horses raging behind your back, active aero, carbon composites, blah blah blah, the usual $2 million stuff. But what really sets this thing apart is the design. It just makes you want to go, wow! That's what supercars are all about. Drama, not just the numbers. That's why Lambo is the king of supercars, and why this Tuatara is higher on the list than the faster but somewhat generic-looking Hennessey. I only wish it had a better name. What did you say? You drive a tartar sauce?
Number 1.
As I said, the top speed record is a powerful marketing tool, and I desperately wish Celine had made use of it too. Like Hennessey, Steve Celine was also a famous name in the muscle tuner scene, and like Hennessey, he too decided to make a car of his own from scratch some 20 years before his Texan rival. Inspired by the McLaren F1, the S7 was also a tour de force of power and aerodynamics. The earliest versions had a 550 HP V8, which was good for over 240 miles per hour. So when a more powerful twin-turbo version came along, everyone expected it to dethrone the Big Mac easily. It's just that they never even bothered to try. Then when Bugatti took the speed crown with their 1,000 horsepower Veyron, Celine matched it with 1,000 horsepower of their own with the S7 LM. And again, not one person thought, hey, why wouldn't we grab some headlines too? Then people would realize that the S7 was not only a top-speed missile, a possible record holder, but also great when the road turns into spaghetti. Nothing strange when you learn that, for the race version, Celine had to lower the power and lessen the aero in order to comply with the rules. It's a real shame that a car as impressive as the legendary McLaren and later the incredible Bug never decided to stick its elbows out a little bit more. Well, I'll do it for it then. The S7 is the best American supercar ever made. There, I said it. And now 3 more American supercars. Can you guess them? Do you agree with the list? Comment down below, like, subscribe, blah, 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 and I'll see you in the next one. America! Fuck yeah!